Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our impromptu Sunday afternoon live stream for the 2026 fantasy football season. For over the course of the next hour plus, we're talking all things fantasy football and, of course, live drafting with you guys. I know many of you in the live chat as of this moment were asking, Andrew, how do these live drafts get done? Are you going to be drafting with viewers? Absolutely. That is the entire purpose of today's live stream. I will go ahead and I'll post the link in the chat in just a couple moments, and of course, we'll live draft together. Now, many of you that I've seen thus far are asking questions in regards to a 10-team format. We can adjust how we want to go about it. Typically, when we do live mock drafts here on the channel, they are typically a 12-team format, but considering how many 10-team league questions there have been, I'm more than happy to adjust that accordingly so that everyone has an idea as to how these drafts will come to be when they are officially, when you're officially on the clock with your league mates this upcoming season. So, quick couple reminders before we begin today's live stream. Again, if you guys do have any questions, be sure to go ahead and ask in the live stream chat. If you do send in a super chat, make sure you include your scoring format. That is greatly appreciated. The more context you provide within said questions, the easier it'll be for me to answer. Hope you guys are enjoying the content that I've been posting of late. Hopefully all that kind of stuff is kind of leaned in your direction. I've kind of obviously produced a little bit more PPR content for those of you guys who want half PPR. Don't worry, that will be on its way in the coming days. But if you guys want that content immediately, of course, you can get my rankings via Patreon, like we've mentioned before, or of course, check it out ParlayPlay, like I've mentioned. If you guys go ahead and through the whole process of using code Andrew, making that deposit, and making a first-time play minimum of $10, you'll get my rankings for all positions, besides the positions, all scoring formats, half PPR, full PPR, SuperFlex rankings, all of that jazz with updated ADP so that you can make the right decisions. 12 teams, by the way. Yes, I understand that you're in a 12-team league national champ rush, but as of right now, there have been so many questions that are 10-team related. We might just go ahead and adjust it just to kind of accommodate for that, because typically I don't really run those leagues myself personally, but I think it'll be a nice little adjustment to the overall, live stream drafts that we have done. But again, hope you guys are doing well. Let's get into it. I do see a couple questions that were sent in via Super Chat, so I want to address those first and foremost. And then once we've addressed those, we can go ahead and move on and begin by talking about, the draft and all that kind of jazz. Okay, so Tilted Hippo said one back-to-back championships thanks to you, three-peat. Yeah, listen, we're hoping for the three-peat this year. Favorite draft spot? I mean, look, I don't think you can ever go wrong with the 1.01 and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that in itself is certainly something that I am excited about. If I'm 100% honest, outside of that kind of start of the draft, I don't honestly mind sitting at the back of the draft. So unless I'm getting one of the the top 4 players, 1 through 4, send me to the back of the first round. Let me get 2 of my top 12 running backs. Let me pair up Saquon Barkley and Chase Brown, because I'm pretty happy with that kind of a start to the draft. Super chat sent in from Whit. Let me go ahead and get to that real quickly here. Whit was saying, evening. Who's a smart keeper in a 10-team half PPR? We have Puka at 2.2, Hampton at 3.9, Rice at 5.9. Start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex format. I quit like 2 RB. I don't know what that means. At 1.9 and 2.2, and Rice at, okay, so here's my thought process. Okay, so I think if you have the 2.02 back end of the first round selections, I think the discount you would theoretically be getting on Puka Nacua is justifiable enough to make that your keeper. I think 3.9 in a 10-team league is practically a 4th round pick. Keeping Hampton there is pretty solid. I just would be a little bit scared to start with a double RB approach if I wasn't, if I was going to keep Hampton in this circumstance. So if you do end up keeping Hampton, you go RB wide receiver to start your draft, maybe like a Drake London plus one of those top 12 running backs, in the 1-2 turn. But if it's my decision, what's the smart keeper? I think long-term wise, I don't think it's Rice. I think it's either one of these two, because I'm thinking of trying to win a championship this year. And I think these 2 potential options are your ticket to, accomplishing that. Technically, I think you could also get Rice technically in a 4th round selection in a 10-team league pretty fairly easily, if I'm not mistaken. So as of this current juncture, considering the 3 wide receiver format, if I'm in your position, I probably keep Puka at 2.2. I think that's just too good of a discount to pass up on. If you're thinking, well, Andrew, I don't want to waste that second round pick. That's fine. You keep Hampton. I think that would be your next best option in that circumstance. But because of the 3 wide receiver format, I think Puka has to be kept. Kick was sending in a question, says 10-team full PPR. Took Bijan, King Henry, and Bowers. How cooked am I? I don't think you're cooked. I think that's the opposite. Now, again, in a full PPR format, King Henry isn't the greatest overall selection, but the fact that you were able to get these 3 back, I mean, within your first 3 selections, I would imagine that rounds 4 and 5 are going to be wide receivers. And at that point, you'll be pretty confident based on what you're going to have. I don't think you should worry, especially considering it's a 10-team format. You're going to have an all-star team. TPD, what's up? Says, any concerns with drafting Neighbors, Abuka, or Burden? They're still, yes. Again, they're going to continue to be questionable. Abuka and Burden are still kind of, toss-ups as to whether or not they'll be ready by week 1. Neighbors, again, still hasn't been able to shed kind of the non-contact jersey and get into 11-on-11 sessions at practice. So all 3 of them are still kind of up in the air. But luckily for us who are drafting in the coming days here, we still have technically 2 weeks until week 1. 2.5 weeks, in fact, until that kind of week 1 Wednesday game between the Seahawks and Patriots. So if we're talking about the Giants, we still have 3 weeks until they have to play football. So I think there's still a lot of time between now and then for Neighbors to get his reps in and get comfortable. Okay, so before we get into answering further questions, I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments to the draft here. I will pop this up on screen in just a moment, just so we're all aware as to how we're drafting here. So I'm going to make it 10 teams just because, there is a little bit of a contingency of you guys that may be interested in that. As to half or full PPR, I think we'll just continue to make it, a full PPR circumstance. And then that's basically it. As for looking for rosters, we want, personally, I think triple wide receiver is kind of, a necessity at this point. And we'll save that there. And I'm going to sit in the back end of the first, unless there's a certain position y'all want me to draft from. If there is, you guys are more than welcome to let me know, and I have no issue drafting from there. But personally, like I've mentioned, if we're talking about my favorite picks, it's either 1 through 4, to which I can secure one of the best players, or I kind of want to sit at the back end of the first round so I can double up on running back, because it just seems like it's far too valuable of a position to sit at. You don't technically need it to be at the very end of the first. Considering it's a 10-team format, you could really sit at 1.07 and secure yourself Amon-Ra and still be able to get yourself, someone technically of the caliber of an Achane, which is a crazy start, but do 8. Okay, that's the suggestion. I'll take it. I'll go ahead and I'll take the link here. Let's see here. Where's the link to this chat? Am I crazy? Draft settings. Where's the link to this thing? It's got to be somewhere here. Nope, it's not that. That's not that either. Okay, well, this is incredible. One moment. As soon as share the draft board, here we go. Well, share the draft board thing as copy draft board link. That doesn't. Let's try this link. Y'all let me know if this is something that you guys can interact with and join on top of. I changed the settings to kind of, yeah, you guys can join. Okay, beautiful, perfect. Okay, so I'll just zoom out. There we go, perfect. Alrighty, once you guys join in here, I'll continue to answer questions. I do see many of you sending in supers, greatly appreciate that. We'll go ahead and prioritize those. Perfect, you guys are in the chat. We'll start right now. Again, it's a 10-team, full PPR, 3 wide receiver league. Perfect, let's get it. Alrighty, let's see what we have in terms of questions. But yeah, TPD, as of right now, I think it is pretty concerning as to some of those players and the risk that they hold in regards to whether they'll be healthy for week 1. But again, they're all going at a technical discount. Now, if they're not going at discount and you don't feel that it's enough of a discount, then at that point, obviously, you'll pivot off of them. Young, what's up? Young says, appreciate the video. CMC fell to me at the 1.10. That's a ridiculous place to pick him. All right, let's see here. Who are we picking on the clock here? Best available players in a full PPR, theoretically, in this case, would be an Amon-Ra. I'm going to do myself a little bit of a crazy. I'm going to start double RB just because I can in a 10-team league. Let's see how this goes. I'm just curious how it breaks down if I can just run a double RB approach. All right, so let's get to your question. So CMC fell to me at 1.10, so I decided to take a chance on Kenneth Walker at 2.03 over Chase Brown. Would you have preferred Brown? Yeah, I mean, look, just because I prefer one player over the other doesn't mean that it's objectively the 100% truth. They could both easily score the same amount of volume of points. They could very easily, one player could get injured, and the other one ends up being the correct decision. Ultimately, when it's all said and done, for fantasy purposes, if you do prefer Kenneth Walker over someone like Chase Brown, I don't have an issue with it at all. Now, speaking of Chase Brown, I'm going to go ahead and okay, look, here's the issue now that I have. I wanted to start double RB, but the issue is nobody picked CeeDee Lamb, which leaves me in quite the bind here. I feel like I wanted to start double RB, but if you're going to give me Lamb in the second, because of course of the format, I will oblige. All right. But yeah, in your case here, youngster, or youngs, I would say I don't have an issue with that at all. I think doubling up on RB there is incredible, and being able to secure 2 top 12 players is all that you can ask for. National Champ Rush, what's up, brother? Says, how you been, bro? 12-team half PPR third pick. Should I go with Chase, CMC, or Saquon? I would go with Jamar Chase. I think regardless of scoring format, he is the third best option in fantasy football. I think, again, Christian McCaffrey will have a little bit of a regression point this year. Additionally, beyond that, when we're talking about Saquon Barkley, a little bit of a tough ask for me to be selecting him that early. I think Jamar Chase, based on his history of production and the fact that we should see the best Joe Burrow we ever have this upcoming season, with a significantly improved Bengals defense, will provide a little bit more opportunity for them to, score points, in my opinion, shorter field options. So in my mind, I think Chase is your correct choice there. If you weren't going to go him, I would then at that point be willing to go McCaffrey. But even then, I'd rather have Puka instead of McCaffrey. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Alejo sends in a question. Thank you very much, Alejo. I appreciate that. Long time no see. I hope you're doing well, brother. Grade the team. I'm in an 8-man full PPR triple wide receiver 1 flex format. Okay, so we're looking at the squad here. It says I have to start 1 rookie each week. Okay, that's not a problem at all. It says I have JD5, Genty, K9, Jamar, Neighbors, Waddle, Kraft, Javante, Rams defense, Cameron Dicker, Jadarian Price, Lemon, Corum, Addison Diggs, and Alec Pierce. Yeah, look, the fact that you have to start 1 rookie every week makes me think that it's either going to be Price, or if Lemon can at least, kind of find himself some value there early on, that could be your choice. But as of right now, I think you're going to be a little bit hamstrung on the fact that you have to start a rookie. I think it's pretty rough. If I was you, I would have probably invested a little bit earlier in a wide receiver like Carnell Tate in order to just have my wide receiver 3 in this kind of format be that rookie. But I would hate to be in your situation right now, because starting week 1, Alejo, you're going to have Genty, K9, and Javante, and you're going to have to bench one of them for a rookie, which absolutely is horrible. All right, let's move on to a question from Kick, who says receivers after Bowers were Tetaroa, Garrett Wilson, Parker Washington, and JMO. Brother, Kick, the fact that you said that you were potentially cooked after starting, double running back in Bowers, and then you were able to get Tetaroa, Garrett Wilson, Parker Washington, like, I think you're in a pretty solid situation there, brother. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we have McBride still available, which is definitely something I'm interested in. Looking at the available running backs, not too keen on those. Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, considering how this draft has started and how it's trending, I think I'm taking McBride in this case. I thought I was going double RB, but now I'm just kind of diversifying for best available. The thing is, I can say, hey, I want to do double RB, but my internal kind of calculator goes, hey, you have to draft the best team possible. Don't just try to force something, So in this case, I will take my McBride shares there in a full PPR league. Okay, let's see here. We had a quick question from Dave, who says, in a 10-team half PPR league, keep 2 between Josh Allen, Devontae Smith, Ladd McConkey, and Breece Hall. Of those available options, if you're keeping them completely separate from your draft, so just to kind of give you some context as to exactly what I'm referencing, if they're not inhabiting a kind of draft pick, so like, I don't have to keep Josh Allen in the 4th round. If they're being kept completely separate from your draft entirely, I would at that point be pretty confident in saying, okay, let's go with Devontae Smith and Ladd McConkey as our 2 keepers. I think in a 10-team league, I don't know if I need to have Josh Allen as a keeper every year. If you want that, that's fine. If you do, insist on that being your keep, then at that point I'd keep Devontae Smith alongside of him. But I think of your group, if I'm looking to kind of build my team, I think that Lad Devontae Smith wide receiver setup is really strong, especially if you could start RB early. Okay, now speaking of RB, I don't love the idea, but I'm not going to pass up on the value of taking Jeremiah Love. I don't love the idea of double stacking Arizona Cardinals, considering the offense is as such. But if you're going to allow me to have it there, I will happily take it in the fourth. All right, continuing on. Let's see here. LG Crazy sends in a question. Says, in an 8-team half PPR flex, how important is it to go tight end or quarterback early? In my mocks, I'm going for them in the 3rd and 4th rounds. Thoughts? I would say that it's probably not as important as you think so. Think about it this way. 8 picks per round. If you're going after a tight end in round 3 or 4, then at that point, that would be like after round 3 ends, technically that's like 24 selections. I, based on my most recent kind of rankings of my overall players, have McBride and Bowers at 20 and 21 in a full PPR. So if you select them in the 3rd round, I think that is appropriate value point. Now, in regards to quarterback, I would say that's a little bit rich for me. I have Josh Allen at, I mean, technically speaking, Josh Allen, 4th round, back end of it, probably more of my speed in that kind of a smaller league. Because the thing is, whenever there's an 8-team league, if you're going to be guaranteed a top 8 quarterback, do I really need to be reaching for Allen that early when I can get significant value at RB wide receiver? So personally, I would try to just choose one of the 2 priority points. I'm not going to double up on both for those positional advantages. I would just try to confirm one of them. If you do want to have that early quarterback selection, go for it. Then kick tight end down the road. But ultimately, like if you can start your draft by selecting 4 incredible players, 2 RBs, 2 wide receivers, then in the 5th round, select a quarterback, or maybe, in the 4th round, select that quarterback, that's fine. But I don't want to grab a tight end as well in that kind of approach. Appreciate it. Alrighty, let's see here. What was this? Someone said, sorry, missed the beginning at 8 pick. Was it an easy pick for James Cook over Amon-Ra? No, you know what it was? I literally started the draft by saying, I'm going to go double RB. And then Lamb landed in my lap. And I went, well, I'm kicking that can down the road. Was it an easy selection? No, I don't think it's ever going to be an easy selection. I just was thinking about, what does it say? Does that say steal? How does that emoji pop up? That's pretty cool. Okay, I've not seen that one before. Yeah, look, at this point, my objective was to start double RB because I was mentioning prior to the draft that at the back end of the 1st round, the idea of double stacking RBs is pretty simple. Like the team's quite literally next to me, right? Taylor, Hampton, McCaffrey, Brown, and then still being able to get Olave, Flowers, Smith, Higgins. Like that is a primed, situation in that case. All right, let's see here. I want to secure some wide receiver depth considering we're playing in a triple wide receiver league, and that's an easy selection on Jalen Waddle there. No problem at all. Again, for those of you who are joining us, Waddle going late. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just happily take that and keep walking. This is a full PPR. It was a 10-team league, 3 starting wide receivers, 1 flex. So just for those of you who are just joining. Eric Martinez in the chat was saying, would you rather draft Neighbors or Smitty? I'd rather draft Smitty. I have Smitty ranked as my number 10 or 11 overall wide receiver. I have Neighbors still at 14. So at this point, I would feel pretty comfortable in that regard. Just joined. What's your team? I am the Rams logo up here. Do you guys see this? That's me. I can just highlight it like that. Alrighty, let's see here. Michael Goldfeld, excuse me, sends in a question. Says, I have a trade offer for getting Tyler Warren, and I'm giving Jamison Williams and Goddard. I think it depends on a couple factors. I would need to see the rest of your team because in a vacuum, I would be pretty confident in making that trade because I think Goddard is like someone you're getting hopefully after round 10. And Jamison Williams is someone that I think has closer value point to Warren, so you're kind of paying that Goddard price tag just to kind of make the upgrade at tight end. I would need to see the rest of your team. I want to know what that wide receiver depth looks like before I say yes or no one way or the other. Okay, looking at what's available here, The fact that I could get a top tier quarterback makes it quite enticing here. I haven't drafted in a 10-team league in so long, guys. I think I could honestly wait on QB at this point. I think securing another wide receiver here for my starters or a flex at running back seems pretty optimal. I don't love anyone in this range. I love Luther Burden, but do I want to? How much time do I have? 9 seconds. I think it ends up being a Luther Burden play. I don't love the wide receiver there, but if he's healthy week 1, I'm more than happy to have him on that triple wide receiver start. All right, we had a question sent in via Super from Jordan Olson. Jordan, hope you're doing well, brother. Says I've got the 1.02 in a double RB with Bijan, then Bowers in the third. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're starting 1.02, you're getting Bijan, beautiful. The second round selection in a 10-man league, I mean, just looking at what's available here, theoretically, if, like, based on what the board shows, if a Kenneth Walker here could fall to you or Derrick Henry in that second kind of round were to fall to you, I think those are prime selections. Technically speaking, I have no issue with that at all. So yeah, at this point, I would venture to say, in your circumstance, going Bijan, RB in the second, Bowers in the third is solid. Personally, though, I would like to hope that it's a Kenneth Walker rather than a Derrick Henry, even though I'm okay with it. I just want a little bit of receiving upside, especially if you're going to play in that full PPR format there. But either way, I think that approach is, for the selection, 1.02 is it's a proper approach. Let's see here. Tony says, is intentionally losing the first 2 games to get the top waiver wire pick a good strategy? I've won a championship because I picked Puka. Tony, here's the reality. If you guys are setting up your waivers based on anything other than Fab, which is the allocated dollars that you are anonymously bidding on players every single week via waiver, if that is not something that you guys are doing, I would probably suggest that to be the case. I hate the idea of waivers being only subjected to teams who are at the bottom of the standings. I feel like that's kind of like a pity pool kind of situation. We shouldn't be leveling the playing field. If you drafted badly, you should be punished for it and you should lose the league. You shouldn't have first dibs on the number 1 options in the waiver wire pool because your team sucks and you don't know how to draft. So I think you guys should be shifting to a Fab situation or a continual rolling list so that you don't have to intentionally lose to have the top waiver priority. It just makes it a little bit more of a purist league to where you don't have to kind of shiest the system a little bit. Okay, we're almost on the clock. Your quarterback has been taken as anticipated. I would have thought the quarterback position in a 10-team league would have gone in the 7th round. That's kind of why I wanted to wait on it. I think at 6.4, what is that? I mean, technically speaking, 64th overall selection, that's actually not bad value. Technically speaking, I have May at like 61. It's not bad at all. Oh, okay, but eventually we have come back here and we are looking to potentially secure more running backs. I want a flex player. Looking at what's available, I don't love the options, but I really do like Warren above the field. Carnell Tate's not bad. Quarterback, what are we looking at? Don't really need that. I think I can kind of wait on that availability. How do you guys play in 10-team leagues? It feels like there's just too many good players across the board. Like, I'm genuinely like sitting here thinking I'm going to have too many good players. Like, I'm not used to it this way. I just, it's foreign to me. Okay, let's see here. We had a question in the chat from Said, who was saying, with the news to Kittle, would you take him over Kraft? No, I would say that Kraft is in a better position based on his recovery process and where he's been at regarding it. He's been practicing in full recently. Kittle is still in jeopardy for week 1. And I think considering the timeline of when Kittle's injury did occur comparatively to Kraft, I think Kraft is significantly ahead. I think both of them are going to be lesser options in the first quarter of the season. I think eventually once we get to the second half of the season, both of them will be dynamite. But until then, you're going to have to kind of live with the kind of underwhelming usage shares. Already alone on a typical weekly basis, George Kittle runs very few routes. But when he does run those routes, they're intentional. They're trying to get him the ball. He has a very high target rate when he's running routes. But ultimately, I think it is great news. Is it good enough news to move him ahead of Kraft? No. All right, we had a question that was sent in from that dude, Raymond, excuse me, or Ramon. Maybe that's what it is. Sorry about that. It says 12-team full PPR. Prescott's coming off the board, no problem there. I'm just going to keep stacking players, guys. Like, it's just, if the opportunity is set, I'll just kick quarterback can down the road. It's a 10-team league. I can live with Jackson Dart as my starter. Okay, continuing on. Sorry about that. Ramon says, full PPR, 1 flex, Purdy, ETN, HN, technically, Jacobs, JSN, London, Likely, Adunze, benches, Golden, Judkins, Mason, Spears, Stribling, Parker Washington, Terrence Ferguson. Rate, please. So looking at the team as a whole in the 12-team format, you're starting JSN and London as a double wide receiver start, and then you're doubling up on running backs with Jacobs and Achan. I think in terms of a start as a whole, pretty solid players, again, across the board. In terms of what Jacobs could theoretically provide this upcoming season, assuming he's healthy and avoids the suspension, I think there's a very high likelihood of him being a lower end RB1 for that Packers offense. So ultimately, your top 4 selections are great. Now, going forward, I'm trying to figure out, what did you secure in round 5? I'm assuming you had a Dunze, and then maybe in round 6 ended up going in the direction of Judkins. 7 was Parker Washington. So you basically kicked the can down the road for both quarterback and tight end. Ended up getting Purdy, Likely, and Ferguson. Again, I think in terms of the structure of balance that you built, your foundation is strong at running back, wide receiver. I think Purdy, based on the fact that he's been a top 12 quarterback for 3 consecutive years in terms of points per game on average, I think that's fantastic. I think Likely / Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson's kind of like a gamble lottery ticket. Likely is more of a surefire potential contributor to his offense. I think as a whole, though, based on the league format, with only 1 flex and 2 starting wide receivers, 2 running backs, I probably would have told you to reach either on tight end or quarterback. Like just in the same way in which we're doing here, yes, it's technically a 3 wide receiver league, but because there isn't additional flex players, I'm going to at least reach on 1 quarterback or tight end just to kind of, not reach technically, but I'm going to invest early on one of them just so that I have that kind of exposure to an advantage. But overall, I think in terms of structure, JSN, London, Jacobs, ETN, Judkins, Parker Washington is a fantastic setup. Alrighty, where are we at here? The fact that it says that Jonathan Brooks in the 8th round is a quote-unquote reach just tells you just how mispriced Sleeper is. It's incredibly mispriced. Okay, how many rounds is this draft? It's going to go 13. Okay, not bad. So we're almost at the end there. Question, would you guys be potentially interested? Would there be a contingency of you that would like to draft SuperFlex alongside of me in this next draft? Because that's kind of what I want to do. My main league is a SuperFlex format. 6 point per passing tutties and 3 wide receivers, 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 1 flex. That's what I typically play in. If that's something that you guys would be interested in joining theoretically and drafting alongside of me with, that would be appreciated. If not, then we can just draft a 12-team league and keep it moving. Okay, let me scroll this down real quick. Rico Daddle in the 9th. Ramondre in the 9th. Based on, I was reading a report earlier this morning. Yes? Okay, cool. I was reading a report earlier this morning from a beat writer from the New England Patriots who is basically speaking just based on like what he has witnessed in camp, that Ramondre is clearing away the RB1. Now, I'd love to invest in, in the shares of a Travion Henderson, but he would require an absence from Ramondre in order to kind of be the guy that he was last season in that kind of peak window where he was averaging 25 a week. How popular is SuperFlex? I don't know. I've only ever played SuperFlex. Like I played a couple years early on in like the 2010s, early 2010s of just being a 1 QB format. And I was like, all right, I'm bored now. What are we doing? I want to spice it up. And SuperFlex just became super addicting. Okay, so I still have quarterback available. I'm not going to select the quarterback just yet. I mean, there's still such good players available here. Like at this point, looking at what is, yeah, I'm going Tony Pollard just off of pure, like just value points. Like, why wouldn't I just take the starter for the Titans there as my RB4? It just wouldn't compute for me not to take him in this circumstance. And then I'll probably roll back around here next round. I mean, technically everybody else has a quarterback, and I'll still be able to take Trevor Lawrence, I believe. Yeah, the fact that Trevor Lawrence, Jackson Dart, Matthew Stafford are still available, this is kind of why I avoid that quarterback kind of commitment early. Damn, was Krosky Merritt really on the bottom there hiding? I should have taken Krosky Merritt. I haven't even ranked higher. I just didn't even look for it. Okay, while we do that, I kind of want to set up the next draft, but we'll get to that in a moment. Do IDP. Oh, dude, I haven't played IDP since literally 2008. Like, I don't know anything about IDP, guys. IDP is a tough combo. Yeah, I envy you guys who play in a 10-team league. The fact that I can literally still get some of these wide receivers here that are available is incredible. Okay, let's see here. How much do you think contract years affect the performance of players? Unless you find some sort of correlation that speaks to that, I don't think it does. Genty hurt ? Since when? Is there a report? Oh, right now. Ashton Genty left practice early after suffering apparent knee injury. Oh, guys, please no. Not like this. Not on live stream. I don't want to cry in front of y'all. That's a very interesting circumstance. I'm curious to see what the reports kind of flush out to. Damn, you took Jordan Addison. I genuinely was going to take Addison there. That's absolutely disappointing, but that's fine. I will happily position myself with... All right, we'll take Mr. Diggs and keep it moving. That is a ridiculous report. Hopefully it's not going to be an issue. Let's really hope not, because that would be a disaster. Okay, I just want to go ahead and just look at some of these other teams here. For those of y'all, okay, let's see here. Gibbs into AJ Brown, Pickens, ETN or HN, Loveland, Tootin, Washington, Caleb. I mean, there's not really any misfires there. Again, I don't really think there's going to be many misfires per se across the board until we see anybody drafted somewhere ridiculously out of position. I would venture to say that Javonte should probably... Well, actually, he went down this way. Javonte goes here. Breece Hall's there. Everything kind of is making sense. I'm just curious on some of these team builds. JSN, Barkley, Nico, Javonte, McMillan, Swift. I mean, that's fantastic. Odunze and Brooks. Look, this is what I'm talking about. If you kick tight end down the road, the team that you can build, technically speaking, in a 10-team format is just... Like, what are we doing? It is just so much incredible depth there. Taylor, Hampton, Olave, Flowers, Wilson. And then you go ahead and say, all right, well, I'm pretty satisfied here. Let's just go ahead and select two top six quarterbacks, or a top six quarterback and tight end, and then continue to build depth, because the depth really just doesn't stop after a while. Genty, Allen, Jacobs, Moore. The fact that you didn't take another running back after these two is maybe my only kind of gripe with this team. I probably, in your case, at this 8.1, maybe would have taken Brooks. Kind of the only thing that yeah, that's probably the only difference maker. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so this draft is going to be done in a couple rounds. Again, it's just going to be all-star teams across the board. As to what is available, I'm just going to end up picking Lawrence or Dart as my quarterback, or honestly, maybe even just pairing the two. It doesn't really matter ultimately. I do prefer Lawrence though. Genti injury. Yep. I'm trust me, guys. I'm reading it as we speak. So let's see what exactly this is. So according to Adam Schefter from 2 minutes ago, he said Raiders running back Ashton Genti was helped off the practice field after this. And what is this? Okay, so reported from Ryan McFadden on Twitter. Let me see his credentials. He is covering the Raiders for ESPN. Says the Raiders running back Ashton Genti left practice after suffering an apparent knee injury. During the team period, he was diving for a catch and landed awkwardly. He was helped off the field by trainers and couldn't put any pressure on his right leg. The entire team took a knee and said a prayer. Oh my God. Guys, no, right? Not like this. Not like this. Listen, this month has been too much already. There's been too much of a toll on our fantasy teams already with injuries. Jordan Mason is pretty solidified there. Looking at what, yeah, I'll just take the Jordan Mason there, keep it rolling, and then stack them up elsewhere with another player. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if he's out. We'll see, guys. Prayers. We need Ashton Genti prayers right now. Okay, there were a couple super chats sent in. I'm gonna go ahead and answer those really quickly. We had a question from Flotation. What's up, brother? Before we get to flotations, I do see a couple super chats that I did end up missing recently, so we're going to get there right now. Ryan had sent in a super. He said, call me crazy, but considering trading away Bijan, I'd be giving up Bijan and Jordan Mason for Achane and ETN. 14-team PPR double flex format. My other running backs are Monangai, Tootin, Chris Rod. Wide receivers are Olave, Smitty, and P-Wash. I would say it's a proper trade. You're basically trading away. In the case of a 14-team format, like you're trading away a first and a ninth or a 10th. I don't know where Jordan Mason went in your league, in exchange for a second and a fourth. Maybe it's a second and a third. So all things considered, maybe Achane went in the first. Whatever way it ends up, I think it's worth the trade. I think if you're looking for that RB depth, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like in terms of. Actually, I do. You have Tootin, C-Rod, Monangai. I don't mind it. I think that's a properly even trade. Lightning Bolt sends in a question. Says 7th pick. 10-team full PPR. Okay. How's my board / draft? Okay. Looking at the team as of right now in 7th. McCaffrey, Chase Brown. You guys know how much I love Chase Brown. McCaffrey at 1.7 is a discount. Devontae Smith, Higgins, fantastic. Scatterboo in the 5th. I was hoping he would have fallen to me, but needless to say, you scooped him. May is perfect value there. Christian Watson's great there. Pitts is great there. I think in terms of overall value that you got, I don't know about Romeo Doubs. Everything else, beautiful. Fantastic, in fact. All right, so that's pretty much going to cover it there. We're going to go ahead, cover a couple more of these questions. And Train sends in a question, says 12-team half PPR, keep Puka for a second or Loveland in the 12th. Puka making me nervous lately. I mean, look, I think in my opinion, Puka probably gives you the best chance of winning. Long term, obviously, Loveland is an incredible value keep in the 12th. And then next year, maybe in the 10th. And then the next year after 8th, 6th, 4th. You'll have him for the next 5+ years. But in terms of securing a potential championship, if you don't know where you're selecting in the first round this year and you don't have an opportunity of selecting Puka, I think the advantage of keeping him in the second is one that I'm willing to make in exchange for not keeping Loveland as late as that potentially can be kept. Flotation said, hope you're doing well, mate. Super chat, go through. I don't see anything from you previously, but let me go ahead and see. If you want, I see your current super chat. Just go ahead and send in whatever question you did have alongside of that. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to set up our, let's see here, F11. I'm going to go set up another draft via Sleeper so we can do SuperFlex League that we were mentioning just moments ago. Again, let's go ahead. I'm going to set that up. We'll answer some questions and we'll be good to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me answer these questions really quickly. S-Box, what's up? Says, I'm making my first of many super chats this season. Appreciate that. Thank you. In your opinion, is there a reason to draft Allen or Lamar in 1 QB PPR? seems that consensus opinion is to pick QB late, which often disqualifies them. I mean, look, I think there are breakpoints, in my opinion, as to when I would feel most comfortable selecting them. In my opinion, if Josh Allen at any point in a 12-team league is somehow in the 4th round, he's an auto selection. The thing is, what you're selecting with Josh Allen, more than Lamar, of course, what you're selecting with Josh Allen is a guarantee that you have either the number 1 or number 2 overall quarterback this season. That is going to score anywhere between 23 to 25 fantasy points per game. So just the security there and the differential in terms of a point per game average in comparison to someone who may be starting, Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford this upcoming season within your league, in the event in which, we're talking about the separation of value there, Jared Goff the last couple of years has been averaging like 17.5 points per game. So there's a pretty good, substantial enough difference between those value points. But typically for me, I don't want to draft Allen or Lamar early. I'd rather wait for that kind of 6th round range of May, Burrow, Daniels, Hurts to where I can go ahead and secure my QB. Otherwise, I'll kick the can down the road. And like I did in this most recent draft, I'll take Trevor Lawrence in the 13th round when I know that he's going to be a significantly more valuable prospect. The guy that just finished as QB4 overall, has rushing upside, and can do just as much as guys like Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams in that kind of middle pack of the QB conversation. So personally, again, I can see the reason why you might want to select an Allen or Lamar early, but I personally don't kind of overreach for them. Sherney sends in a question, says, just drafted at the 1.08 in a full PPR. Rounds 1 through 5 went St. Brown, Chase Brown, Love, Flowers, and Garrett Wilson. Thoughts? I mean, ultimately, I don't really have any complaints. You took the best available player in a full PPR. You followed up with my favorite running back in 2026. You get Jeremiah Love in the 3rd round, which again is an incredible value point I'm assuming it's a 12-team league. Flowers in the 4th. Again, you're pretty much securing yourself a top 16 wide receiver. And Garrett Wilson, besides very similar to, Flowers, could end up being a low-end wide receiver 1. I mean, the last 2 years he's been averaging 16 points per game. So you, technically speaking, in a full PPR, have a really strong team. No complaints there, my man. Gerardo says, hi, Andy. Please see 3 questions in the chat. Okay, let's see what I can do for you, brother. We have a lot of questions stacked up here. Hi, Andrew. Please rank in order of selection, if available, for pick 16 in a non-PPR: Barkley, Brown, Henry, H.N., Hampton, Walker, Kyron Williams, and Jay Williams. Okay, so of those available options in a non-PPR scoring format, give me a moment. Let me look at what a non-PPR format kind of looks like. While I do that, I'm going to set up a 12-team snake draft. Can I add a 3rd round reversal to this? 3rd round reversal. Save. I need to additionally add a couple things to this league. One moment, guys. SuperFlex, 1Flex, save. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going to sit at the 1.7. I don't really mind that spot. We'll share that. All right, guys. Keep an eye out for the chat. We are sending in the link for the SuperFlex League draft if you guys are interested. Thank you. Okay, looking at a standard scoring format, non-PPR. Let's see what running backs typically do on a yearly basis. So of the players that you mentioned, I would take Saquon or Henry. That's the direction that I would go in. Specifically, Gerardo, to answer your first question. So if I was going to make the selection for your team, I would tell you to pick Saquon there. And then if he's not available, it's Henry as the next available option. And then if we're looking for another player after that, I would probably venture to say that I'd like to have Hampton. Thank you. Gerardo says, second question, please rate in order for pick selection 17 non-PPR: Lamb, Jefferson, London, Brown, Collins, Rice, Pickens. I mean, a lot of these orders in a full PPR / standard are not going to really change much. Like Lamb, Jefferson, London, AJ Brown, Collins is pretty much going to be the order. I would take Pickens over Rice. I would probably take Smith over Pickens and Rice. So it would probably go Collins into Smith, etc. But ultimately, that's not too much of a differential in comparison to my normal rankings there. Okay, before we start this draft right here, it's a super flex. So you have a starting quarterback and you have a starting super flex quarterback. It is a third round reversal. That is correct. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and let me just share this real quick. We're changing it to a full PPR. Actually, can I change it to a 2QB? I mean, does it make a difference? I don't think it makes a difference. We'll just leave it as full PPR. Third round reversal is on. And again, like we mentioned earlier, draft roster, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback, 1 super flex. Cool? All right. Best of luck. Let's do it. Getting to your third question, Gerardo says rank these rookies in order from pickup to late rounds. Price. Okay, Jadarian Price should probably be the first rookie off of every draft board. Looking at these available, Carnell Tate will be number 2. I would say in terms of the number 3 option out of the group, considering Tyson's injury, it would probably be like Concepcion, then Lemon. Yeah, that would be kind of the primaries. After that, Coleman, Douglas, Fields, Washington, those are guys that I'm not too interested in. I would monitor Stribling's situation. I think he did end up practicing today, but something that we want to keep an eye on. Alrighty, let's see here. Interestingly enough, there isn't really a contingency of y'all that really want to go early on quarterback. I kind of want to take a quarterback, but I will wait. I think based on third round reversal, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea in a full PPR just starting my JSN and getting quarterback in a second. Drafting first Superflex PPR, keeping Dart in the 8th. Do I draft Allen or Gibbs? It depends on a couple formats. If you're playing in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, pick Gibbs. If you're playing in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, pick Josh Allen. Thank you, GW Soccer. Appreciate that. Xavier sends in a question, says simple yes or no on Christian McCaffrey. Good to see you, Unc. Yeah, I would say yes. Yes on Christian McCaffrey, Xavier. Ferrari Beat sends in a question, says pick 3 in a 12 team, full PPR, double flex. Okay. Says with Chase as my first pick, should I go back-to-back wide receivers for rounds 2 and 3 since best running backs get taken early? I would say that you want to at least have 1 running back by the end of the 3rd round. In the event in which you're going with a super wide receiver heavy approach, you're going to then have to grab guys like Josh Jacobs, Scat, ETN in, rounds 4 maybe, if you can get lucky and they're there. In a 12-team league, it's going to be tough. I would say if I was in your position, 1.03, I would try to get a running back in the 2nd round. If every single one of the top 12 running backs are gone, then yes, take a wide receiver. If by the time we get to round 3, if Kyron's not available, take the best available player and keep it moving, and then we will address wide receiver. Sorry, we will address running back in the 4th. But that's kind of my thought process on a Ferrari. Thank you. Okay, somebody in the chat was saying they have not said the severity of the injury. Yes, we are still waiting as for Genty and his overall situation. We'll keep an eye on that. As of right now, we are drafting via Superflex. Again, for those of you guys who are joining us this wonderful Sunday, hope you guys are doing well. Again, as of right now, Superflex format with a 3rd round reversal. So keep that in mind. So basically, as soon as the 2nd round ends, the pick there at Real McLovin at the very back end, who has already secured Brown and Burrow, and he's secured the Bengals starting attack, is going to be able to get another potential selection there at 3.01. Abraham, what's up? Says, should I trade Barkley, Collins, and Diggs for Nakua and ETN? I have Lamb and Gibbs already. I mean, you're pretty much trading like top 12 running back, top 12 wide receiver for a top 2 wide receiver and I mean, ultimately, if I was in your situation, I think I'd keep Collins and Barkley, personally. I think you're giving a little bit much. RCT in the chat was saying, question, choose 2 out of these 10. Okay, choose 2 from 10 spot. Okay. So of those available options, if I had to pick 2 of them, I would say that my highest ranked depends on a format situation. RCT, if you could let me know in the live chat what your scoring format is, I'd be more than happy to let you know. Let's say it's a full PPR. I probably end up going Chase Brown and then following it up with Saquon. It's a half PPR. I'd probably take Saquon first and then follow up with Chase Brown in the second. Alrighty. It seems like none of y'all want to take quarterback. I mean, it almost makes it's incentivizing me not to follow with QB. But I think I kind of, well, let's see. What do we have available here, running back? Somebody take Chase Brown? You took him in the first? I think I just, look, now I'm thinking, do I even take Ashton Genty here? After this poor guy just blew out his knee? He didn't blow it out. We're just hoping he's healthy. I don't think I'm taking the risk. I'll take Lamar in the second. That's fine by me. Half PPR double flex? Yeah. I think in that situation, RCT, I think Chase Brown at a half PPR, it's not that I value him less. It's that I think there's a less likelihood that somebody takes him on the turn. So if you take Saquon in the first, there's probably a higher likelihood that Chase Brown will arrive to you in the second. John, what's up? Says, hey, Andrew. My league is kind of wild. How would you draft this kind of league? Let me know. It says that my fantasy football 18 full PPR point per touch league is a double quarterback, triple running back, quadruple wide receiver, 2 tight end, 2 kicker, 1 defense team. That's crazy. Okay, so based on just that alone, point per touch. Do you get a point per rushing attempt for quarterbacks? That's my only question. If you do in fact get a point per rushing attempt for quarterback, then at that point, I would venture to say guys like Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels are second round selections. Josh Allen, second round selection, especially in a 2 QB format. That's the only kind of immediate thought I have. Flotation says check X. Okay, let me see what you sent. Okay, says here's my team. Okay, cool. Let's see what we have here, Flotation. We have a long season ahead, but let's see what you've gone ahead and built here. Says my team is on the left. Thoughts on? Okay, cool. So you have Stafford and Hurts as your super flex quarterbacks. Beautiful. I think that's great. Additionally, on top of it, you have Bijan, Kyron, Rashi Rice, Sutton, Metcalf, Bowers. Pretty solid team. Tyron Tracy, Rashad White, McMillan, Jennings, and Likely. Your question was, do I drop Tracy for another handcuff? What are the alternative options that are available in your waivers? If you want to go ahead and send me a screenshot, like in a Twitter DM, I'm more than happy to check that out and let you know. Is this some sort of quarterback premium? It's a 2 QB league. 2 quarterback league with a third round reversal. That's primarily in order to kind of incentivize, or not incentivize, but kind of prevent teams from the top of the draft from abusing early quarterback picks. J-Ma says, Andrew, please just need your some thoughts on my team. First draft out of 5 this year. Yeah, just go ahead and type it in the chat. I see it above, actually. It says I'm in a 7th pick in a 12 team. Okay, let's see what you have here, brother. 7th pick, 12 team league, full PPR, 1 flex format. We have Kyler Murray and Willis as our quarterbacks. Okay. Hampton, Etienne, Brooks. Okay. JCM, Samson. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Amon-Ra, Tataroa, Diggs, Loveland, skipped on Christian McCaffrey and James Cook for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, in a full PPR format, I don't blame you for doing that. I think, again, the safety of Amon-Ra is very difficult to pass up on. I probably would have went with a Christian McCaffrey in that circumstance, but, again, don't blame you. For a 7th overall selection, based on the running back, wide receiver depth you were able to kind of accrue and still be able to get Loveland, I think it's a really strong kind of draft overall. Mahomes in the... Mahomes? Really? Sheesh. Okay. Good on you. Good on you. All right, listen. I'm just going to be the optimist Is this going to change my draft substantially? Absolutely. But I'm going to be the optimist. I'm going to be the guy that takes Genty. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to assume he's fine. If he's not fine, so be it. I would have taken another player. But my gosh, would it be? I mean, I'm not going to be that afraid. Someone said, "Hey Andrew, do you prefer JT or Cook?" I prefer Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. It's close though. Genuinely, I don't mind the idea of ranking Cook over Taylor. I could be convinced. Ramon said, went ahead and added Mike Washington. Not a bad idea. Yeah, flotation. If you want to go ahead and drop Tracy and go pick up Mike Washington, which is Genty's handcuff, not a bad idea. Just in case. It's obviously something we're going to monitor. But let's see here. Bad news, Genty got hurt in practice today. Yep. We're going to wait and see. Again, as of right now, I'm just going to take him there. We'll see what happens, just because I'm not letting him go down the board. Andrew just threw his, this season away drafting Genty. No, listen, this is a mock draft. I didn't throw nothing away. I'm just selecting him off of the absolute hope that he's actually not injured. Until I get a confirmation of the ACL, MCL, PCL, etc., I'm all in. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. There's a couple more super chats that were sent in, I think. I think we took care of Xavier. Xavier, appreciate that again. Flotation, Ferrari, appreciate you guys. Okay, let's scoot back down. What are we doing here in terms of this draft? Okay, quarterbacks being selected at a pretty good rate. Liking that. Good evening, Mr. Donald. Hope you're doing well, sir. Mike Evans took off his pads, appearing frustrated. Could be injury related, says J-Ma. Listen, if you, I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are drafting like early, as in anywhere before the final week of preseason, the injuries this season have been the worst I've seen over the course of a month of August. I've genuinely not seen just the volume of injuries that we have seen thus far to key players. So it's definitely going to be a rough situation. We'll see. Michael Barton, what's up, brother? Michael, do you have some sort of inside? Do you have any insight there? Because that would be pretty bad. We'll have to wait and see. Wait, you answered my second one? I must have not been paying attention. Yeah, I did answer your second question. I can answer it right now again. Saying, haha, 1.04, 10 team, full PPR. I know either Puka, oh, actually, maybe I didn't answer this. Puka or Chase are going to be available. I'm a believer of Amon-Ra and JT, so rank them based on who falls, either Puka or Chase. Let me see what we have if you're available here. Okay, let's see what is your question. So rank them based on who falls, either Puka, Chase, JT, CMC, or Amon-Ra. I mean, ultimately, Chase is 1, Puka is 2, CMC is 3. Amon-Ra is probably... It's either... I mean, it's a full PPR double flex. It's not a 3 wide receiver league, so I don't put extra value into that position. But I probably still would take Amon-Ra over JT. So again, back to the top, Xavier. It would be Chase, Puka, CMC, Amon-Ra, JT in that order. Thank you. Alrighty. Can't put weight on his knee. Team around praying. Yeah, listen, trust me. I read the report not even maybe 10 minutes ago. The only reason I picked him is just in case. You never know. We're just going to hope. Again, I'm not drafting Genty in the 3rd thinking that that's where he's supposed to go in drafts. We all know that he's a first/second round selection, but I'm just going to take him there. I'll have fun with it. Encore in the chat was saying, thanks, Andrew. Have Kyle Pitts as my tight end. Should I make a trade offer for Loveland for Brooks and Pitts? I would probably keep Brooks and Pitts unless you have some sort of incredible depth at running back and your bench is just stacked across the board, I would venture to say it's probably in your best interest to keep what you have in that circumstance. Kenneth, what's up, brother? Says, hey, Andrew, if you had a 1-for-1 draft position, would you consider RB if they fall? Yeah, if in the event in which you're sitting at the 1.01, you're the first overall selection, you picked Gibbs, and somehow 2 other top 12 running backs based on my rankings drop to me, I'm all in there. Mario was saying Jacobs facing 5-game suspension. That would be absolutely wild. I would be very surprised to see it to be yeah, I would be incredibly surprised if it's a 5-game suspension. If that's the case, y'all better be picking up Marshawn Lloyd. That would be wild. Let's see here. DWE was saying, do you think you can do a dynasty mock? No, probably not a dynasty. Those take pretty long considering the volume of rounds that are required. This is the first time we're doing a SuperFlex this season. Just wanted to go ahead and do that because I know many of you guys had asked, but dynasty is kind of something that I'm not really tapped into per se during, especially this season. Mike Washington ? Yeah, listen, guys, based on when we get the official news as to what the severity of the injury is, yeah, Mike Washington would jump a severe margin. Even beyond that, if this is like a season ender for Genty, knock on wood, it's not. They might go out and trade for James Conner. You never know. Okay, I would like another wide receiver. You see what's available at running back. Scat. Yeah, no. I'll take my Zay Flowers here. Someone says I'm drafting tonight. Full PPR, pick 5 out of 16, CMC, JSN, or Amon-Ra. As of right now, in a full PPR with those current available players, let's see where I have them ranked accordingly. Full PPR, I would take JSN first, Christian McCaffrey second, Amon-Ra third. Appreciate it. Yeah, Ivan sends in a question. Thank you. It says full PPR, keeper league. The round is where I would keep the player. 5th is Pickens, 8th is Tyler Warren, 13th Jaden Daniels. Who do I keep in a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 1 tight end league? So we're not keeping Jaden Daniels. We have no interest in that. I don't think that's something that we are even considering at the slightest. And in the case in which we are looking at the available options here, I would think it's either Pickens or Warren. Those are your 2 only other available options here. I would say that Pickens is probably my keep. Full PPR, I'll take him in the 5th. I think, technically speaking, if you were going to try to fight for Tyler Warren, you would fight for him in the 5th round. If you were going to try to get Pickens, you're probably going to have to fight for him in that back end of the 2nd, early 3rd. So the discount that you are theoretically getting is similar, but I think in terms of a round by round kind of discount, but when we're measuring the value of rounds 2 and 3 comparatively to round 5, I think Pickens is the more proper priority out of that group. Okay, let's see how this draft has gone here. Curious how some of these teams are looking. A lot of double quarterbacks. There's a team that is still yet to pick a second quarterback, which is Chris over here, just right here above me. Chris, don't forget you can start 2 quarterbacks in this league, and don't think about starting Tua and Shedeur every week. I don't think you'll be able to get away with that. But hey, you never know. In terms of quarterback priority, there's 2 teams that only have 1 QB. Actually, 3 teams that have 1 QB. Okay. So not really prioritizing. I'm curious. Let's see here. The team on the very right, Chase Brown, Joe Burrow, Trey McBride, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson. Pretty solid. But again, depends on what that second quarterback is going to look like. Who is available at quarterback anyway? Baker, Love, Shuck. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad approach to where you can kind of link that up. Ashton Genty, lower leg injury. No kidding. No, it's not a lower leg injury. It's a knee injury. There's a big differential there. A knee injury is potentially catastrophic. A lower leg injury like an ankle, okay, couple weeks off. Ice, rehab, go to Germany, get some stem cells, you're good. A knee injury, now that could be problematic. Coop, what's up, brother? Says keep 2, CD and Bowers. Okay. Also have Genty and Kenneth Walker. Only 1 starting RB mandatory in a starting lineup. 1 running back, 1 slash. Okay. 2 flex, 2 wide receiver, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. Yeah, I mean, looking at the available options here, considering the Genty kind of question mark that is looming, I don't think we're keeping until we hear further discussion regarding that. If I was in your circumstance, yeah, I would probably play in a league where I'm holding Bowers and CeeDee Lamb there, especially if it's a full PPR format. That is probably a pretty solid go. If it's not a full PPR, then I would keep I would keep CeeDee Lamb and Kenneth Walker. Thank you. Okay, I only have 1 running back, so probably need to address that, considering my 1 running back has a knee injury. Oh, man. Monty, welcome home. Can I still leave that there? Yeah, I can still leave that there. Okay, cool. Hey, Andrew, in a 14-team league, this is from Anonymous. Says in a half PPR, 2 flex format, thoughts on keeping Kyron in the 3rd? Okay. It's steep, but want AJ at 1.13, running back at 2.02, keeping Rice in the 4th. I'm just nervous about Quorum, honestly. Yeah, I think keeping Kyron in the 3rd is not really necessary. I think you're better off just keeping Rice. I think even Rice is a little bit of a steep play there, but in a 14-team format, I can justify it. What do we draft Genty now? It depends on the severity of the injury. If you're literally drafting tonight, you could draft him, but I wouldn't even know where to begin, because theoretically speaking, if he's out for the season, okay, whatever you select him at is a waste. If he's not out for the season, how long is he gonna miss for? To be determined. Then at that point, it's just like anywhere you do select him, you're purely flipping the coin of a gambleized situation of not knowing when he would theoretically return. So all in all, I think if you can postpone your draft, that's what I'm saying. I think there's like a break point where I would draft him in the 7th or 8th. But right now, nothing sounds great. Benny in the chat says, did a $10 play with ParlayPlay, but didn't get an email with rankings. Benny, can you let me know when you were able to make that play? That would be appreciated, because I do have the list of the most recent emails for people who were able to confirm that. So if you let me know what day you did that on, like, did you do that just today? If you did that just like today, then you're probably on my list, and I can check and see if I ended up sending you an email. You may have just recently done it. So just let me know. Thanks, man. Kenny in the chat says, half PPR 12-team league, 1.01 position. I'm considering going quadruple RB, brother? No. I don't think you're going to have that many good options to select from to the point to where you can make a 3 RB start click. Like, theoretically speaking, at the 1.01, if you start with like Gibbs, Henry, Kyron, okay, you can do that, but at no point should you be like objectively looking for that. You should probably try to diversify a bit. At least start 2 RBs, then go 1 wide receiver or a tight end. Harvey in the 7th seems a little bit much for me. Malik Willis, wow. Terry's great value in a triple wide. PW sitting there. Bombay Blitz says, me too. I haven't received the email no, you wouldn't receive it from ParlayPlay. You guys made a first play of $5, then 10. Does that count for getting rankings? Yeah. So as long as you make a $10 play within a real cash play, so not using your bonus funds. So you know how they give you 100% deposit match. So if let's say you deposited 50, you get 50. You have to use the 50 deposited dollars, not the bonus funds. So once you've made a play within the real cash on your account, $10 minimum, then you should be eligible to get on my list. Now, if you have not yet received it, I would say check your spam folder first and foremost, or do me a favor and potentially go down to the description of this video, see that email. It's contactkurkov@yahoo.com. It's in the description of this email, of this live stream. Go there and send me an email, and then I can go ahead and kind of get that all corrected if in fact you weren't attributed to my list. But if you are, then I can just go ahead and I'll shoot you back the rankings immediately. So you can go about it that either which way. Manny says, I feel physically ill. Brother, trust me. Genty down, don't worry. I know, guys. I know. This offseason has paid a very heavy toll already. The volume of injuries are ridiculous. Yes, I use real cash, bro. Okay, cool. So then, in that case, Bombay, can you do me a favor? Go down in the description, look, find that contact Kurkov email, shoot me over an email, and I'll be able to send over those rankings to you. Once I get you confirmed, then you're good to go. Benny says, yeah, it's at 11 a.m. PST. Figured I'd play, finish. Yeah, look, as long as you put in the play, you should be eligible. So, you should probably do the same, Benny. Go down to the description and shoot over a thing. Thank you. Eric says, Kurkov sniped me multiple times. What did I snipe you on, Eric? Are you picking before or after me? What did I snipe on you? I would imagine... What would I snipe? What, Parker Washington? Better draft Mike Washington as a safety? Yeah, listen, of course. Of course. Okay, this is another tweet from, let's see here, 44 seconds ago, article from, I'm looking at this ESPN article from the same guy that originally reported the injury of Genty. Listen, we're going to hear news by tomorrow. You will get an MRI probably done within the next 24 hours. We'll have an idea. Eric says I'm Sundance Kid. You're after me. What did I snipe you from? What, Purdy? No, not Flowers. It would have been Montgomery, maybe. Bombay says sent you an email. Sent the email to Gmail, but now forwarded to Yahoo. Okay, sounds good, Bombay. Thank you. Benny says, LOL, never mind. It's in my other folder. Might be. No, you're good to go, brother. You're good. No problem. Okay, we're almost here at our next selection. I would like to pick another running back. Please and thank you. Even though there is Rome Odunze, yeah, if Rome hadn't been selected there, good selection, by the way. Rome's a great pick there. Yeah, I will happily take a Jonathan Brooks in this position. Okay, continuing on. Thomas, what's up, brother? Says 8th year with you. Yes, 8th. Is this 8th, really? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, well, I've been doing it for 9, but yes, close. Here's to hoping the injuries don't lead to any more players. Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Prime, what's up? It says playing 10-team double flex, running backs going super early. In which round would you go RB no matter what? In a 10-team league, double flex, if you're worried about the early RBs going in a half PPR, then you should just start double RB. Just secure them right off the rip because the drop-off is quite significant. Now, don't get me wrong. I really like this range of Swift, Irving, Montgomery, Judkins as RB2 options. But are they guys that I'm like hanging my hat on and saying, yeah, objectively speaking, these are guys that every single week are going to be, without problem? No, they're going to have bad weeks. They're going to have good weeks. It's going to happen. But that's kind of, the value that you're buying them at. So ultimately, if you're not interested in those kind of lower end options and you'd rather just secure 2 RBs to initiate your draft and then subsequently after go after the Brooks, Krosky Merritts of the world later in the, in the upcoming draft, then you can go ahead and do that. Hey, Andrew, I haven't watched NFL season, and I'm drafting today. I'm pick 8 of 10. I'm thinking of going JT and Chase Brown / Achan. Also, can you tell me who's better if I get the option of both? Yeah, in your case, if you can get JT at 1.08, you should do so, and you should get Chase Brown in the second round. Thank you. Coop says, missed my question about Loveland. Okay, let me go back up, Coop. It says, thoughts on targeting Loveland just to F with everyone else. Yeah, I don't know about that. If you already have, a top 2 tight end, I don't think you need another one, brother. Let's see here. JK24 sends in a question, says, formerly known as JK. Okay. It says, I have to draft 2 hours in 2 hours. How early do we reach on Mike Washington? Look, here's the issue, guys, right? There is such a, okay. I got to think about that. In the case in which you're drafting in 2 hours and we're reaching on Mike Washington, I would probably reach on him in a normal league. Let me, geez, my internet just crashed. What the heck? I have to reload my page 1 second. Okay, let's pop out the live chat. I got to move it over here. And I think that should be good. Okay, so I almost want to bring up an like a live draft board. Like let's for example, I'm gonna make my selection here, and then I'm gonna pull up the last mock draft we just did, just so I can kind of point out exactly where I would select them, like where the break point is theoretically, because I don't know if you're looking at my rankings right now. I could tell you which running back I would select them after. That's kind of the same thing, but not the same entirely. Because again, let's say for example, guys, Genty does miss this season. Okay, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. Mike Washington, I would venture to say, will have another running back sitting next to him. There would be a likelihood that the Raiders go out and make a trade, or they sign someone, or something of that nature. I don't think that they'll let Mike Washington be the starter all season long. Okay, so I made my cross scheme merit. I've stacked up on my RBs, no problem. Let's do something real quick. I'm going to go ahead real quickly. I'm going to swap screens here just so we're all good. When are you getting a tight end, Andrew? I'm waiting for Kelsey in the next round. Kelsey, likely. In a double quarterback league, I don't really love the idea of taking an early tight end. It's not something that I've typically kind of gone after. Where's my 10-team league? Here it is. Perfect. Okay. So let's use this as a reference real quick just to talk about Mike Washington. So this was the draft that we just did, like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. In this case, right, to where if you're drafting tonight, I would venture to say I would probably take him. Damn, it's tough. I'd probably take him in this round. Sorry. I need to zoom out. Let's zoom this out. Zooming out did nothing. I'm thinking it's a round 8 selection because I'm looking at the available players there. I'm willing to make that risk at that point. If you can make it later, great. Round 9, 10, 11, great. But round 8, if you're feeling desperate and you feel like you're willing to take the risk. You know what I mean? Alrighty, let's see here. What's up? Okay, so we had a question from Gordon. It says, hey, Andrew, do you think it's a mistake to pass up on JJ or Lamb with the 11th pick and go for a double RB in a full PPR? No, I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's purely just a matter of how you want to build your team. I basically have found that selecting double RB to begin with it's a lot easier to build your team because in rounds 3 and 4, there's such a plentiful volume of wide receivers there that I have trust in. Guys like Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, Lad McConkey's of the world that I can stack up as my wide receiver 1 and still be very much so competitive in that field. So I personally don't feel like it's a mistake to pass up on JJ and Lamb. Now, I will say, if JJ and Lamb are available in the second round, after you've made a selection in the first. Let's say, for example, you started in the first round, you went, okay, I'm the 1.11. I'm going to pick James Cook. In the second round, like I just showed in that last draft, as soon as Lamb was available there in the second, I have to make that pick, right? There are certain breakpoints for players, but I don't think it's a mistake objectively passing up on those guys to go double RB. Mario says staying away from Kittle. Yeah, look, here's the thing about Kittle. You would imagine that coming off of the Achilles, he's going to have a regressive season in comparison to what he has produced in the past. So based on just that alone, I think it's worth just kind of waiting on him and not over investing. Donald said that's why I hate drafting early. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been rough this season. If you guys can push your league drafts back as far as you can, the better it is. Again, if I'm not mistaken, like every year, I mean, yeah, if you could have held it until September, that's optimal. But obviously, you know, schedules are tough. Coop says, will CD put up closer to 2024 or 2025 numbers in full PPR? I would like to hope to imagine that it'll be closer to 2023 numbers. Because I think 24, you got to think about it. 24, half of the season, Dak Prescott was gone. 25, half of the season, he was injured. So in both those years, he was injured shoulder or ankle. I'm thinking it's closer to 2023 in the idea that, yes, he's not going to have that incredibly high volume of 11 targets per game. He's still going to maintain 9 per game. But once he, you know, cleans up some of the overall mistakes, he's going to be in a solid position there to be, you know, 20 points per week in a full PPR. Did you see the Genti injury? I did see the Genti injury. It's an absolute heartbreaker. Let's just hope that he's healthy. Fingers crossed. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm not going to be a negative Nancy. Thank you, Big Walt. Appreciate that, brother. What's up, David Ramos? How's it going? Okay, let's see what else we have in this chat. Are you drafting Malachi Fields, Andrew? No. There are so many other viable options on the Giants. Like, I think priority-wise, number 1 is going to be Neighbors once he's healthy. Number 2 is going to be Isaiah Likely. Then after that, I would imagine if we're looking to try to, you know, buy in on another receiving threat of the Giants offense who are going to be objectively run heavy, I think it's going to be a player that has to score a very consistent volume of touchdowns. I don't imagine that Malachi Fields for the Giants is that. Okay. Prez up for Genti. Agreed, brother. Absolutely. Goose, what's up? Says, hey, Andrew, I've been a fan since 2022. I appreciate the very kind words. Thank you, sir. What's your thoughts on who I should take at the 1.08.5 PPR rookie only draft? That's a fantastic question. I'm currently on the clock in the draft that we were doing. Let me just go ahead and grab a wide receiver here. Okay, I made my selection. Okay, getting back to it. So at the 1.08 of a rookie draft, let's see here. Open up a couple things here. Okay, so under the assumption, right, guys like Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, that's 5. Concepcion, Casey's gone, so that's 6. Stribling's gone, that's 7. Okay, so under the assumption that all those players are gone, I think at that point, you're in a position to where you're either taking Kenyon Sadiq, if you're in need of a tight end, of course, but if you're not, I would say that the next kick down is Jacoby Lane. That's where I'm going. You could go Stowers as well. I guess that is also another option, but that's a 1-year investment for next year once Goddard is gone. So Sadiq would be one in my mind, then it's Jacoby Lane, then it's Stowers after. Okay, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Benny. What's up, brother? It says, in a 12-team full PPR league, thoughts on Lawrence Gibbs? Okay, let's see what your roster looks like. Tootin, Olave, DJ Moore, Bowers, Parker, Washington, Golden, QJ, Stribling, Tyson, Corum, Sampson, Lloyd, Reichard, and the Jaguars defense. I mean, overall, as a whole, I'm a little bit confused about the team as a whole. So confirm with me. We went Gibbs 1, Bowers 2, Olave 3, I'm assuming. And then we followed up with probably, yeah, I'm trying to figure out who your 4th round selection is, because you have DJ Moore, Tootin, and Washington, and I don't think any of those 3 are 4th round selections. So that's my confusion. If we can confirm what we did there, Benny, in the 4th, that would be appreciated to kind of give me some understanding on the context. Thank you. What's up, Zink? How's it going? Bruin Backhand, how's it going? Long time no see, man. I'm doing great, thank you. Steven Drakes, what's up, man? Says, hey, brother, half PPR. Should I draft Irving, Henderson, Price, or Brooks? I would draft Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving would be 1. I would then rank Price 2, Brooks 3, Henderson 4. Daily Sports, what's up? Says, what's your strategy after drafting Jamar at the 1.10 keeper? Ended up really hating RB2 selections. If you're keeping Jamar in the 1st round and you're selecting an RB in round 2, I would imagine you are waiting for RB until round 4, to which I think you would be selecting guys like hopefully Scat, Jacobs, ETN, Javante, Brees. If you don't like those options, well, this is kind of the situation you're in, unfortunately. You could end up trading Jamar Chase after keeping him. You could trade him for a top-tier running back if you'd like. But ultimately, I think securing a running back in round 2 and 4 is probably the way you go. Dark City, what's up? Says, do you believe Tootin will be a top 10 RB this year? No. I've never said those words. I will never utter those words outside of just right now when you made me say it. No, I don't think Tootin is going to be anywhere close to that, brother. I think there's too much backfield competition with C-Rod. Coop, what's up? Says, how late is the latest I can wait for a running back in a 14-team PPR where I'm only starting 1 running back and it's mandatory? I mean, you can wait as long as you want. If you're okay starting Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt every single week, you wait till the 8th round. But if you're not okay with that idea, then I think you should probably try to do a hero draft where you're selecting an RB in the first 2 rounds. The very latest 4th round, and that player ends up being like Scat. I just auto-picked. Apologies, guys. For the SuperFlex draft, I have kind of lost all concentration here. Okay. Cyanide, what's up, brother? How's it going? Okay, getting back to the question, though, that was asked earlier from Benny. Let's see what Benny said. 2nd pick, 4th was Tootin. 2nd pick in the 4th was Tootin. Let me go back up to your team, Benny. It's a full PPR league. Let me see. Where do I... Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a little bit early in my mind. I have Tootin in a full PPR ranked as my number 62 overall player. I think that's probably the only differential we had. That's why I was a little bit confused as to the roster construction. I would have thought that maybe by the time we got to round 4, there would have been alternative options available. But at running back, like I would imagine the best available options were like Tootin, Montgomery, Irving, Swift, Judkins. I would have gone with any of those 4 I just mentioned ahead of him. But ultimately, again, maybe he ends up outproducing them. So I'm not going to say that it's objectively a wrong decision. I just was a little bit surprised. Now, getting DJ Moore and Parker Washington to follow, absolutely beautiful. Quentin Johnston's a great player. Tyson on the IR is solid. Stribling, again, could show a lot this season. Corum is going to be a pretty solid, I guess, backup running back. I would have loved to have more than just Corum, Stribling, Lloyd. Maybe another contributor that could have rotated in for Tootin. Maybe also securing Chris Rodriguez would have been nice, but all in all, pretty solid. Got any Genty news? The only thing that I've heard is what's been reported on Twitter, aka from the one and only Adam Schefter. That's all I have. Outside of that, they were already gone, says Benny. Wow, okay, so you guys are playing in a very heavy RB drafted league. So that's a completely different scenario. Yeah, I have no potential new news for Genty. I'm not tapped in. I can give I can give somebody a call in the organization and we'll see what we hear. But I think we'll probably have an official report by tomorrow morning. Brooklyn Hopper, what's up, brother? Or Hooper, excuse me. I always mess up your name like that, always. For years. It says, what's your stance on hero RB versus double hero RB in a full PPR league, 14-team league, double wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 quarterback, 1 flex? Yeah, if I was in your situation, I would feel like in a full PPR format, there is so much more wide receiver depth comparatively to running back that it is probably in your best interest to go double hero RB. Because in any given week, you can get a guy like Khalil Shakir to score 10 fantasy points in his sleep. And that's someone that you draft legitimately in the 12th round. So ultimately, I think there's a lot of credence to the idea of going double RB in that kind of a format. Andrew, are you doing a redraft league this year? I'm looking for a league after leaving my home league for 9 years. Yeah, listen, I only play in a couple leagues now in terms of fantasy football, and there are only leagues that I play with just kind of guys that I've been in the leagues with for 8 to 10 years. There's probably nothing opening up because no one's ever leaving those leagues. Outside of those kind of situations, I'm sure that there's a possibility that somebody else in the comment section might have an opening. But as for myself, nothing as of right now. What's up, D? How's it going? Harrison, what's up? Says, why do you keep fading me? Where are you? Oh, sorry. There you are. 12-team full PPR. Pick 3 of 4. Pick 3/4. So I'm assuming this is the 3rd/4th round turn. Is it what you're referencing to? Says, should I target rounds 2 and 3? Oh, no. This is picks 3 and 4. Okay, got it. If I start Puka and Jamar 2 separately, got it. Okay, now I understand the context to your question. So in a full PPR, Harrison, if you're going to start Chase and Puka in the first round, 150% you need a running back in the second round, in my opinion. If you can get anyone in my top 12 running backs, which in this case, I mean, let's see here. Let's throw this up on screen, right? So in terms of what is available, let's filter this in. Okay, so this was yesterday's video, by the way. So in the case in which you're taking Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua 3 and 4, if you can somehow, some way, in the second round, secure Kenneth Walker, Hampton, or Henry as your second round selection, fantastic. Otherwise, I would say that you're probably looking for McBride Bowers or A.J. Brown, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith. Now, in the event in which all those go, and you are not able to get those running backs that we desired, and you ended up settling for a wide receiver or a tight end, then in the third round, I would tell you to take Kyron Williams or Jeremiah Love, Those would be the best available options in the third round. So it would basically be a wide receiver RB, wide receiver start. In the event in which you can't get that RB in the second, you're supporting yourself with a tight end or wide receiver in the second, and you're getting an RB in the third. Got it? Cool. If you guys haven't checked out that video, it's live on the channel. Top 80 overall players. James Cook's on the thumbnail. Thank you. Alrighty, let's hear it. Do you think Mike Washington will split anything with the backups? No, I would imagine that if Genty was to miss significant time, they trade for a running back or they sign a free agent. Drafted last night, I took Genty with my second pick. Facepalm. Yeah, I saw a clip earlier this week where somebody took Genty number 1 overall in a league, and everybody was losing their minds. And oh gosh, I hope he's fine. Which running backs do I target after pick 40? Who will outscore wide receiver at ADP and full PPR? That's a really tough. It depends, right? Like after pick 40, I don't know what ADP you're functioning off of, but the running backs at that range again are Montgomery's, Irving's, Swift, Judkins, players of that caliber. So Jadarian Price, Jalen Warrens of the world, they can certainly outproduce wide receivers at ADP. It just depends if you're selecting them from 50 to 60. If you're selecting them at like 41, 42, they're not going to outproduce ADP. You're asking too much for them selecting them that early. Rashi or Olave? I'd rather have Olave probably at this point. When do you draft Genty in a half PPR? Right now, until further notice, you don't. Genuinely. All right. Any preference on Price, Montgomery, or Tootin? Yeah, I like Montgomery out of that group. That's my number one option out of that kind of contingency of players. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Let's make that a little bit big. There we go. Perfect. Okay. D says Patreon's the move. Why would you mention that? Oh, okay, here we go. Harrison was saying, hey, thanks, Andrew. You're the GOAT. I've been following for years. In a state where ParlayPlay isn't legal, how could I get your rankings? Yeah, Patreon. Patreon would be the only other way. Yeah, guys, if you guys haven't checked out the Patreon, that is the alternative way where you can ask me any and all questions, just like how we're doing right now, where you send in a text question and I respond to it. That's how I do it via Patreon. I've been doing it on Patreon since 2019, where I've been answering questions on a daily basis for the last 8 years now. So if you guys are interested in regards to getting those questions answered, it doesn't matter what fantasy football questions you have. Additionally, I do have Discord. So if you guys want to send over screenshots of your teams or your mock drafts and kind of get those graded and kind of get an idea in terms of a plan as to how to navigate based on your selection, based on your scoring format, again, I'm more than happy to help in that regard. There's a link down in the description. If that's something that is of interest of you after checking it out, of course, you're more than welcome to support in that regard. And I'm more than happy to provide rankings and answer questions there. If you guys want rankings, but you don't want the subscription-based service, again, ParlayPlay would be technically the best way. But again, it depends on if it's legal in your state. But yes, appreciate that. For those of you guys who have signed up, made that obviously deposit and made that first-time play, if you have not checked your spam folder, be sure to do so. The rankings might be hidden there. No kicker in a SuperFlex mock draft. Come on, that's the most important position. Yeah, that's a good one, Mario. I don't know about kickers. I don't know if their importance is at that high of a level in a SuperFlex format. Lost for weeks. What's up, brother? Says, hey, Andrew, in a non-PPR start 3 wide receiver league, would you prioritize Puka or Chase over guys like JT, Christian McCaffrey, and Cook? Let me look at a non-PPR format and let me see what Chase ends up scoring in that kind of a league. Give me a moment to just kind of reference point that. Okay, so looking at the flex position in a non-PPR, Jamar Chase back in 2024, when he was the number 1 overall wide receiver, he was still the number 5 overall player behind Barkley, Henry, Gibbs, and Robinson. So to give you a very blunt and just straight answer, I would say I'd prioritize running back over him in the case of JT, Christian McCaffrey. Outside of that, I probably would take him over James Cook. Thanks, man. There should be a super kicker league. I mean, to be honest, I'm sure there is. I'm sure if you want to, there's probably leagues out there where you start like 4 kickers a week. It's an 8-man league. Everybody gets 4 kickers and you just roll. But I would imagine those kind of leagues draft weekly. I don't think that it would be like a season-long thing because at that point, you're just playing best ball, Will, what's up, brother? Says half PPR keeper options, Judkins in the 10th or Olave in the 5th. That's a really good question. I find that the investment of Judkins in the 10th being quite a enticing play, but I'd rather have Olave in the 5th. I think that is the more valuable keeper. Andrew, long time brother. How's it going? How's it going, brother? Just wanted to tell you that receive is spelled wrong in the. Is it really? Let's see. Where is that? Yes, I before E except after C. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll correct that right now. How does Washington RB room look? I'm thinking Krosky Merritt. For sure go Krosky Merritt, brother. Absolutely. Z-Soul, what's up? Says, do you think taking Bowers/McBride in the 2nd in a 12-team full PPR is worth it if no top RBs are available? Yes, absolutely. I think the full PPR significance of value at what Bowers and McBride will provide is quite substantial. Again, we talked about this yesterday, and I'll go ahead and pop it up on screen once again. So yesterday, I had my video in regards to my top 80 overall players, okay? And the reason why I have McBride and Bowers here is because when you look at just the historical tight end breakpoints in the last couple of years, the number 1 overall tight end based on averages in the last 3 seasons is at 272 fantasy points. If you guys are expecting Bowers to produce the same numbers he did in his rookie year 2024, it would basically be around 272 fantasy points. So in the event in which you're looking at the equivalent value there, he's more valuable than RB7 and wide receiver 7. So technically, Bowers, under the assumption that he produces 2024 version in terms of production, Genty's gone, they can only give it to Bowers, hypothetical. Then technically he's worth a early second round pick, right? And now we're able to get him in the late second, sometimes early third. So ultimately, in terms of value points there, I mean, tight end in the second round, McBride, Bowers, it doesn't matter. I think they're both fantastic. Damn, the spelling teachers checked him. Yeah, listen, you gotta let me know. I appreciate that, guys. Anytime there's a correction that needs to be made, I am more than happy to listen for that. Let's see here. Anonymous says streaming kickers and defenses is one of the best parts. Yeah, that's why every single week during the regular season, I have my waiver wire episode just so that we can stream weekly. Creative, what's up? Says, where would you put Genty now and Bowers? I think I need to wait to hear Genty news. Until further notice, don't draft him. If you're drafting tonight, avoid him. Purely. I don't even want to waste it. I don't want to have to go after, like, if there's a situation where, again, if he's healthy and you can get him at a discount, that's fine. But the risk that is theoretically associated is just too high for me right now. Kilo, what's up? Says, another year with Andrew. Keep up the solid work. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, I'm drafting in an hour. Pick number 2. Give one good piece of advice going into it. Okay, there are many good pieces of advice I can give you. Number 1, you should have 2 to 3 names prior to every selection you make that you are ready to select. 2 or 3. Okay, if you don't have that, you're going to be panicked. You're going to make a very rash decision. Don't do that. Next, never worry about positional runs. If a bunch of players in your league are drafting tight end and quarterback at a far earlier position than they need to, that should not force you to be also following in their footsteps, because you're honestly doing yourself a missed service. Again, if somebody reaches on a quarterback or tight end, that is just kicking down value at running back and wide receiver that should have never landed to you. So if you in fact take a tight end or tight end or quarterback, you are giving back the favor of the advantage that was gifted to you in terms of the ADP drop. So don't follow in those footsteps if there is a omega positional run. Additionally, let me pop up sleeper above the top of my head here. Because you're picking at the end of the draft, I'm going to just make a new mock draft here and kind of show you an example. I think this is something that y'all need to kind of, if you haven't yet already, kind of just check this out real quick. Let me make it. Let's get rid of the third round reversal and it'll correct it right now. Boom. Okay. So let's just say, for example, you're picking at 1.02. So if we select a player here, Gibbs is gone at number 1 and Bijan's here. Okay. So later in your draft, in the event in which, let's say, for example, this player has, let's just theoretically put it this way. Let's say they go wide receiver, they go AJ Brown, and they go, I don't know, doesn't matter, Malik Neighbors. Okay. So when you're coming back down in the 4th round and they're right after you, you should be assuming full well that they're going to take a running back on this 4-5 turn, right? So when you are allowing them to make this selection, if you needed to make a running back selection in round, let's say, for example, your draft ended up like this. I'm just tossing around names. It doesn't matter. Let's say you took Drake London and let's say you took a tight end. Let's say you took McBride. Okay. In this overall event, when you know you need a running back, do not ignore it here and let the running back go to the end of the board, because you know this guy's going to take 1 RB, much less could take 2. So if you end up leaving it to go down the line on the corner, it's going to come back and you're not going to have availabilities of what was potentially there. So you should take the running back you want in this spot. Let's say, for example, it's, I don't know, let's say it's Jacobs at this point. Take it here. Do not take the risk because you know he needs that position. So look at the players around you, know what they need to continue to build their team. If they ignore it, that's fine, but just keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple more questions here, then we're going to bow out. Appreciate y'all guys supporting the channel, rolling through today. Blank, what's up? Says, why do you have Kyron as a tier 4 when Corum is increasingly getting touches? I feel like the Rams have been high on Corum for years. might even take majority of the snap share. I think that's a lot of assumptions there. Again, the Rams being high on Corum for years, I think is also a little bit of a stretch. Again, when we go back to 2024, Corum did not play, right? Last year, he did get an expansive role, which is beautiful. But the question is, are they going to give him anything further than what he saw last year? Based on what we witnessed in the NFL playoffs, the overall usage share of Blake Corum in comparison to Kyren went back down in terms of percentages of overall touches. When the games matter most, that is when Kyren is utilized at a higher clip. Additionally, unless Corum's going to get himself receiving utilization, I think it's very difficult for us to be assuming that his value is at a higher kind of position than it currently has been demonstrated as. Now, it's not to say that he can't get an expansive role. Absolutely can, and I'm anticipating him to. That's why I have Kyren where I do. But based on the offense being the expected number one offense in the league based on Vegas lines, they're a favorite in all but one game this season. They have the best run blocking offensive line, the third best run blocking strength of schedule. Everything speaks to their starting RB getting a lot of touchdowns. So that's going to be Kyren. And if Corum wants to steal some value on the end, that's perfectly fine. But they're both going to coexist at a high level. Thoughts on getting Charbonnet in the last round, stacking him in the IR? That's fine if you have 2 IR spots. In the event in which you only have 1 IR spot, I think it's very sketchy because by the time you get to week 5 and bye weeks start to hit, if you have an injured reserve player that needs to be put out and you don't have any potential bench room, then you're going to have to drop him. But for now, it's okay. I think just it might be a little bit more complicated as you go. Have you all talked about Genti injury? Yes, it's a disaster. We're hoping that it's not a problem and that he'll be healthy. Please and thank you. J Mai, what's up? In a double flex 10-team PPR, half PPR, we were determining picking order of draft by playing poker. How would you rank each draft position? I want picks 1 through 4. If I can't get picks 1 through 4, I want the final 2 picks. I want 9 and 10. Thank you. Jordan, what's up? Genti could be done, y'all. Pick up Mike Washington. Yeah, if you've already drafted and you haven't already picked up Mike Washington, do yourself the service. Absolutely pick him up right now. Should I pick up Spears from the Titans, running back, or Woods from the Texans? I prefer Spears, but honestly, they're both going to be cuffs. I just feel like there's a little bit more of a streamlined opportunity for Spears to get more touches because of Tony Pollard rather than Woody Marks having to play behind David Montgomery. But both of them, the only way that they get further expansion in the offense is injury-wise. Okay, so we took care of that. What else do we have here? Daily says, rank this 12-team half PPR Dak, Javonte, Brees, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson. Wow. Okay, the only thing that scares me here is Kittle. Hopefully you drafted another good tight end. If you guys are drafting Kittle this season, please do me a favor and draft the second tight end. Maybe somebody of the caliber of a Dalton Kincaid while he's healthy in the beginning of the year. Maybe a Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, Brenton Strange. Just have a second tight end on roster. That's all I ask because he may not be available for week 1 and you want to make sure that you at least have a second tight end so you're not scrambling. Juwan Johnson's another great. I think in terms of early start, great tight ends to have weeks 1 through 4. I think Juwan Johnson and I think Dalton Kincaid, both of them, Juwan Johnson primarily benefiting from the fact that Jordan Tyson will be out and Dalton Kincaid primarily benefiting from the fact that he's healthy. I think those 2 things are huge positives. Tyreek Hill ADP is so low. Is he trash now? He's not healthy, and he's also not on a team. He's got a torn ACL, dude. Swarm says, who do you think about this? What do you think about this team? Burrow, Gibbs, Brown, AJ Brown, Pickett. Wow. What do I think about this team? I think it's an 8-team league. There's no way you could have Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, and AJ Brown, Pickens, and Bowers, and McConkey, and McLaurin. Yeah, that's an incredible roster. Congratulations on winning the chip. Yo, Andrew, Javonte 3rd round if I start Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown. I think Javante's a little bit of a reach there in terms of fantasy point value. I don't mind it if we're really, really desperate at running back, but in the middle of the 3rd, I would hope that Kyren or Jeremiah Love are there. If they're not, then sure, we can go with Javonte. Swarm, what's up, brother? Says, yeah, okay, back to this team. Yes, Swarm, this is a championship roster. I don't know what else to tell you, brother. I mean, I don't know how many teams are in this league, but it doesn't really matter because this is just a crazy roster team. Jordan says, I have Genti in 2 leagues. I immediately picked up Mike Washington, even teams that don't have Genti on. Yeah, you have to. That's fantastic right there, brother. Good job. Brogan, what's up? How's it going? Says, been watching for your videos for about 4 years now. You're an absolute fantasy stud machine. Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. Says, rate 1 to 10. Okay. My Superflex Dynasty, Lamar and Williams. So I'm assuming that's Caleb Williams, which is prime quarterback play right there. Walker Olave, beautiful. Slash Tedero McMillan. Flex is Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Kyle Pitts at tight end. Do you believe in Kyle? I do believe in Kyle. Now that's primarily because I think Kyle Pitts is very much so going to benefit from offensive play calling. Guys, just look at the history of Kevin Stefanski and the offensive coordinator. I think it's, what is this? Is it Tommy Reese? Let me see. Tommy Reese Falcons. Let me just confirm that's their OC's name. Yeah. Tommy Reese, currently the offensive coordinator. Both Stefanski and Reese were a tandem for Cleveland. In the last 3 years, the Cleveland Browns have targeted their tight ends 160 times per year. It's not by accident, it's by design. You also don't accidentally give Kyle Pitts all that money this offseason. It's by design because they know how much utilization he's going to get. They don't have a number 2 wide receiver. They have London, and then they have Pitts. Pitts should be a really good option this year. I think he's honestly in one of those kind of positions to where ADP-wise, he's being highly undervalued compared to where he should be going. Like ADP is at like 71, 73 on Sleeper and Yahoo in a half PPR. He's going behind. I mean, he's going behind guys like Kittle and Kraft that are going to be on, one leg to begin, or kind of hamstrung by the volume of opportunities they get. While he could just immediately be a guy that's getting 6 to 8 targets per game. Suarez, what's up, brother? Drop QJ or Stribling for Mike Washington or don't? Yeah, you should. Without a doubt. If I was going to make that suggestion, I would tell you to drop Stribling for it. I think Stribling's got a little bit more competition for targets. Either way, one of those 2 guys need to be dropped for Mike Washington right now. Without a doubt. And which side do you prefer in a full PPR? Tight end premium? Neighbors, Loveland, or Lamb and Pitts? Wow. That's a really good question. Oh my gosh. Let me look at my projection here. One moment. It's close. Like what I'm talking about is a separation of like maybe less than, no, it's like 1 point a week in terms of the duo combinations. It's not that separated. I mean, it's close. Is it a full PPR? It's a full PPR tight end premium. Holy shit. Okay, the tight end premium aspect of it makes me want to have Loveland on my team. But at the same time, I just went on a 10-minute rant about why Pitts is going to be great. I don't know if he's going to have Loveland level of opportunity, though. But am I willing to pass up on Lamb to just get Neighbors? If you could give me some sort of confirmation that Neighbors is ready by week 1, then yes, I'll take the Loveland and Neighbors side on that situation for a tight end premium. I think at that point, man, Loveland's going to be crazy good. Best targets, picks 8 through 13 in a 10-team league. Everything I'm going to suggest to you there, Coop, is running back. Genuinely, it's literally Chase Brown. Try to grab him. Hey, Andrew, remember 2015 top 5 RBs were all terrible? Yeah, I think number 1 overall running back that year was what, like Devontae Freeman, right? I think so. I could be mistaken. Was that 2015? Let me check. 2015 running back. Yeah, Devontae Freeman, number 1 overall running back. It was a rough year that year. I mean, even when you go back to 2023, the second overall running back was Breece Hall by accident. The guy didn't even break 1,000 rushing yards. It was kind of a rough situation there. Mark, what's up? Says, rate this team. Traded Hendo and JCM for Chase Brown, Tank Dell, and a 2027 third. Running backs are Bijan and Brown. I mean, in terms of helping you win a chip this year, I think this is probably the right move. Hopefully, Tank Dell is ready to go by week 4. Hopefully. Yo, Andrew, Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown, Neighbors, or Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown, Olave, or with Kyron. Okay, in this situation, in terms of value points, I love the idea of going Christian McCaffrey, AJ Brown, and Olave. That's what I prefer. But I think the separation between Olave, Neighbors, and Kyron are very close, and it becomes a matter of preference. To which, if you want to secure that double RB, no, I wouldn't even hesitate. I would just take this Kyron setup, and you're good to go. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that, brother. Henny, what's up? Henny says, Christian McCaffrey, Jackson Smith, or Puka. Full PPR. I'm drafting 4th overall in 10 minutes. Leaning towards Christian McCaffrey because all the good running backs will be gone by the time it's getting back to me in the second round. I mean, in the event in which you're, 4th overall selection, you're worried about a running back in the second. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that at all. Again, Henny, if there's a situation in which a running back still does drop to you in the second round, maybe you end up with Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry, round 2. Pretty good overall picks there. So you can end up starting double RB and it's not going to hurt you. Jackson, what's up? Says, think stacks like Nico Collins and Montgomery, along with Chase Brown, T. Higgins, will do well to start in a PPR, or should I avoid it? I have no issue with it. I don't think that those stacks particularly kind of cannibalize each other. I don't think that's an issue at all. Worried about every other year trend with Dak? Yes. I am very much so aware of it. But that every other year trend for Dak is a season-ending injury. That's the issue. It's not really a matter of just him not playing well. It's a matter of an injury that causes that. Hey, okay, we took care of that. Okay, cool. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. We've been here for about 2 hours, but I think that's where we're going to call it. Again, if you guys haven't checked out the videos on the channel, we just recently posted top 50 running backs, top 50 wide receivers, top 80 overall players. If you guys want all-encompassing rankings beyond that for half full PPR, updated rankings for the remainder of not only, of course, the draft season, but regular season as well, you can go ahead and check out ParlayPlay. Using code Andrew, making that first-time deposit will get you, of course, those rankings from my email directly to yours, like I mentioned every single episode. But if you guys are not interested in that, or, of course, potentially are not eligible based on your current location, you can always check out the Patreon. Again, I appreciate y'all. That's pretty much going to cover for me. Make sure you pick up Mike Washington. Do yourself a favor. I'll be back tomorrow posting content. Be sure to do me a favor. If you guys haven't yet already, click the like button down below. And anytime you see one of my videos, clicking the like button definitely does make a huge difference in terms of the algorithm. Outside of that, we're going to cue the one and only double helix. Enjoy the guitar solo and have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll see you guys. Peace.